Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm, of course, author of the Robot Proof Recruiter, and I'm a facilitator and speaker. I'm, of course, joined by my talented talent acquisition professional co-host, the one, the only, the face-pulling, amazing Glenn Martin.
Hola.
Hi, Glenn. And today we are joined by a talented people person. That actually sounds quite odd. Human resources professional, fantastic human. Anyway, in the name of Rohan Dickinson, welcome to the Social Recruiting Service.
Thank
you, guys. Thank you.
And we, of course, welcome. We, of course, could not be here without our fantabulous sponsor, Enterprise Alumni. Thank you for continuing to support the show so we can stay on during this time. Thank you. Welcome, Rohan.
Thank you.
And currently on holiday as well. That is dedication to the show.
Yeah, I'm out in Holland, other half Dutch, so seeing the family out here. It's been nice. It's been hot, like England, though.
Yeah, that's a good effort. That's good effort. Coming onto the show on a Friday afternoon whilst on holiday, you get super credits for that, right? Super credits indeed.
Right.
I am rushing back after. I am rushing back. I don't get quarantined.
Yeah, exactly. Well, before we get into the title of the show, it'd be really interesting, I think, for everybody watching, just to kind of learn how you got into the world of people. Just give us a bit of an overview.
Yeah, sure. So I actually went to uni and studied sport at uni purely because my dad actually said, I saw that, Glenn, actually on your LinkedIn. Yeah, so I did sport.
Have you been LinkedIn stalking each other, have you? Are you now LinkedIn friends?
Pretty much. It's something special. Yeah, so I did sport at uni. Absolutely loved it, but I actually loved the psychology side. So I ended up getting an internship at McDonald's in the headquarters, which was kind of mind-blowing. Team of 100 plus people. Super cool. Ended up doing a master's in HR, and again, absolutely loved it. So then I applied for a graduate scheme, got on a graduate scheme to specialise in HR basically there. I kind of moved up into an L&D role. I did a HR advisor role, which touches on all the generalist bits, recruitment as well. But I moved into L&D and managed a small team for a year and a half plus. So I absolutely loved it. And then I went, actually, utility is great. Like, it is very good, but I wanted to go to a totally innovative space. So then I popped to a fintech company and I led on recruitment there. Absolutely loved it. Like you'll both know the engineering kind of recruitment, the hardcore challenges which come with that, just the cool vibe culture.
No challenges recruiting fintech.
Easy.
Certainly engineering. Engineering's like the low-hanging fruit, isn't it?
I know.
There's a dozen, thousands of them.
Yeah, so I did that for a year and a half recruitment, and then I started kind of leading on the learning. But then I suddenly went, actually, I want to stretch myself again, because one thing that was bugging me is I didn't have a clue what talent management was. I know it's a tiny bit or part of HR, but I was actually like, I don't really get it. I know you got your 9-box grid, whatever it is, tied to bonus, but I was like, I don't get the mechanics fully and how it could scale. So if you're in a scale transfer, how can it scale truly? So then I popped to a kind of big corporate company, 40,000 people, took on a group global role across 9 different geographical regions, working with the exec teams, just to learn about talent management, essentially, because it ties with recruitment, ties with L&D, everything. Yeah. Unfortunately, being furloughed, lost my job, silver lining, kind of started up my own side gigs. But
wicked.
Still a people person.
I reckon there'll be lots of companies, lots of startups happening right now because of this. It was the same in 2008. Yeah. So can I just address it very happily? Hello, Tom. I don't know how to say your name, and you join us every week. Is it Nakia or Nakia? I don't know. That's dreadful. Mr. Nakia. O'Donnell and Liz, thank you all for the compliments on the hair. We can now move on. Right. So, sorry.
Well, actually, let's not move on from that. There's a little sidetrack.
I just wanted my hair to be the same color as the book. No, I really didn't. I didn't think about that at all when I did it. Sorry, I did literally on Wednesday cut my hair off. Right?
I'm not being funny. I came on to a video call with Katrina and she just sat there like nothing had changed. I was like, she had a haircut then.
Hang on, I'm gonna go that way. But it's the other way. Anyway, whatever. Yeah.
It looks cool though, right? It looks cool.
I love it.
It does look very cool.
Yeah. Anyway, we can move on now. Right. Sorry.
We can move on now.
We can move on. We are actually going to talk about mentoring HR and startups. So actually, considering our pre-show chat, I'm looking forward to this very much so. So
yeah, definitely.
Why did we end up with mentoring HR and startups, Rohan? Why did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of my passion in HR is L&D that ties with mentoring, and I think mentoring, I was saying to you guys just a second ago, I think it can be a very fluffy subject. It can be a fluffy thing, but I'm passionate that actually I've had really good experiences on my graduate scheme. I had a mentor who actually worked with me for a long time. That doesn't mean actually worked with me like close side by side, but he helped me so much. Then I've got kind of mentors. I've got a few external ones, and they've seriously been people to kind of lean on, just get advice, whether it's functional advice or skills-based advice. But it's generally helped me. And then talking to other people, I've found that it's been beneficial to them. And then in the tech startup space, I'm very aware that a lot of people in standalone roles, and they've actually got like a serious task on their hand. Like they want to build this business up by 50, 200 people. It's like, holy bejesus, how do I actually do this? Like, how do I put a salary framework together? Like, how do I do the operational HR and all of this? And actually a mentor can provide like seriously beneficial advice and work and help them check in time. It's not hand holding. That's not what a mentor doesn't do that, because you don't want them to fix it, but they can help them.
Actually, so how do you define it, a mentor then?
Experience. Yeah, someone who's got experience and they're leading with that, trying to help someone else actually.
Could I just ask, at what point
always
did you...
feel fear when he says that, by the way, Rowan, because it usually means there's a curveball question coming that you might want to take a deep breath.
I'm just always interested to understand at what point or how people arrive at that idea that I need or I would like a mentor. So whether it's something that perhaps within a kind of grad program you're offered, but if it wasn't that context, why did you think a mentor would be useful for you at that period of time and continue to have a mentor?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. I was on a grad program, so I'm biased already towards it. So I think I went into another role and I want a mentor because I knew it would help me massively. Yeah. I actually don't think people tend to go that way though. I think people potentially get too overwhelmed. Maybe they don't get overwhelmed, but they go, I'm going to focus because I know I need to deliver on. So actually, in the end, you don't go, a mentor would be a good idea, because you'll probably think that might slow you down and stuff. So I think people just go laser focus and stuff. Yeah. So when the mentor,
I've not had one, which I must admit I've been thinking about of late. But then I didn't go the grad school route. I don't have a degree, so I didn't have someone saying, get a mentor. Certainly never through work did I think about it. But I do have a coach, so I do pay for someone to take the ideas out of my head, make sense of them in that respect. It's a different relationship again.
It is, and the coaching's got its own power. You both know, like self-realization, and that's a kind of a mind-blowing thing.
So interestingly, you had a mentor. Do you mentor individuals as well?
There we go.
Yeah, so Birmingham University. Yeah, Birmingham University, I was there, and now I'm part of their kind of mentoring program. Been doing it for 2+ years, so I've had a few mentees. And I love giving back. Like I love my education and everything like that. So I love being able to help someone kind of learn to grow, because it's hilarious when you actually help someone who's very junior, because they don't even know what HR really is. They're like, oh, is it contracts? And then you recruit. They have no idea what.
It's the police. They're the ones that tell you off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Offends all our audience.
Stereotypical. So, in your experience to date, what have been the key drivers behind requiring or wanting a mentor? What things have you wanted to learn or wanted to kind of have a mentor engaged to kind of discuss? So is there a common theme, or is it just something that's kind of progressive at each stage? Just kind of give us an idea, because there might be some people sitting there thinking, I'd like to consider a mentor, but actually what am I going to them for? What expectations should I have? Yeah, exactly. And what expectations should I set? So if you can just give us a little insight into why you went to get a mentor beyond obviously the grad program. So why you've continued to seek and have mentors.
Yeah, I think it's 2 parts. Normally it's in my role, because I have normally massive gaps in terms of how to deliver or do my role. So I normally look for a mentor who can help me directly in my role. Let's say I was recruiting in tech, and I'm suddenly like, oh God, this is the tech stack, and I don't truly get how deep it goes and the knowledge that comes with that. Let's say that's the DevOps stuff and that stuff. like, and still don't fully understand. Exactly. But getting a mentor to actually help me and understand that, and how I could potentially talk to another kind of infrastructure engineer when I reach out to them, and just and to actually say, mention these few things, because that really, like, they bite on that type of stuff. So that stuff's so beneficial. So it's role specific. The other side is actually career.
Yeah.
So I think you've got your more short-term operational, day-to-day pragmatic type of stuff, but then it's someone actually who can work with you and get to know you and get to know your strengths and help you with your career. Because I've had people who said, get a big brand on your CV. That will really, really help you. And then they've got to know me, and actually they've got to know that I love tech startups, and it's not all about the brand there, it's all about the challenge, about brands. Exactly. And then they get to know you over time, and they can really actually help and go, actually, you're strong in this. I might go off and say, actually, I really want to do this reward stuff. And they might go, yeah, you're not too good when it comes to benchmarking and look at inflation rates and all of that. So, do you know what I mean? Like, they can really help you and give proper feedback. That's what proper mentoring is. They get to know you.
That's cool.
I'm hearing a lot of it's what you're getting. So what are they getting? So, like, my fear with asking someone, and I know exactly who I'd ask, but is what she going to get out of it by mentoring me? And that's, so I get it with Emma. So Emma, Frey-Vogel, who I mentor. Now, the reason I jumped at it is because I know she's so awesome. Radical Recruit help ex-homeless, ex-care. What have I missed? Ex-care, ex-homeless, ex-offenders back into work. So, of course, immediately I'm like, I want to be part of that, right? So I could see the benefit to me. But when I'm asking someone, I'm like, what? Because it has to be a benefit to them, right?
100%.
And that's my fear of asking. And I'm sure plenty of people here are sort of thinking, like, what's in it for them?
I
because
think
it's a time commitment.
Oh, it 100% is. And I think people, again, in kind of, let's say, the startup scale-up space, sometimes you don't get line management or leadership opportunities. Mentoring is actually a soft management, soft leadership opportunity to be leading someone, dare I say, without the crappy admin of kind of proving annual leave or anything like that. But it kind of is. You're helping someone in their career, or you're helping someone in their role. And I think that's rewarding to actually develop your leadership skills and actually going, potentially try this, try that. To giving feedback, because we know as HR kind of people, feedback is one of those things we don't all practice probably enough, and it's super hard. So I think it's a great opportunity to develop yourself in all the things: leadership, feedback, especially if you don't get it in your day-to-day kind of work. And it's also giving back, which I think also is rewarding.
I guess that's it. Thank you again for the many haircut comments. Obviously I should have done this years ago. Beautiful comment here from Darlene, who is currently on the market. Snap her up, she's awesome. What's the panel view on homegrown talent through mentorship as well? Love that.
So
as in within that.
I'm assuming homegrown talent's kind of internal talent
within the company. I guess so.
I'm massively for that. I mean, it's how you're also going to shout out to everyone else in the business, going, we're going to retain you. There's a development pathway for you. The business is also growing your internal talents, tacit knowledge, and all that, isn't it, as well? So you're an advocate. People join the company as a new starter. They go, someone's been able to progress here in like 2-3 roles. I mean, let's be honest.
It has to help with retention, doesn't it?
Yeah, and to be honest, being really selfish, we all care about like what we're getting paid and all that as well. So people going, oh shit, actually I can get more money as well. At the same time, they also might go, shit, they've actually had some really, really good challenges, and they stretched themselves because they've been able to work on this, that, this. So being selfish, I think it looks great for an individual going in. I don't know what you guys think.
Flipping that into a startup space then, because I think that sounds like it could really work in a company of 100, 200 plus, or even kind of 1,000 plus. We're looking at a startup, really early, 10, 15 people, maybe 20 at the most. A couple of people would like mentorship, but as we've already discussed, sometimes in a certain environment, certainly a small startup, you are laser focused on, let's get the product, let's ship the product, let's iterate on the product. Mentoring, we haven't got time for mentoring. How do you then start the conversation with kind of senior leaders or how have you started the conversation with senior leaders in a small startup around the importance of mentoring?
Yeah, do you know, being like fully honest, when the reason why I've become more passionate about mentoring is because it didn't even happen. literally. So the conversations didn't really happen. I mean, we ran leadership programs at the kind of startup I was at, and part of that was to obviously help a leader help another leader in mentoring, but we never explicitly kind of talked through it. We never explicitly created in-house pools, which I've been part of previously, but more in a corporate setting. So we've created in-house kind of mentors and all that. But internally, I don't think it's touched on enough. And don't get me wrong, like you say, Glenn, it is slowing things down, but it's for the long-term benefit.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I think it's
Rowan's on a mission to sort that out anyway.
Yeah, I think it becomes incumbent on the individual to then try and find that mentor, because if the company can't facilitate it, or the company's not even large enough to maybe even offer the kind of mentorship internally, you've kind of really got to go out and seek that yourself. You can't sit there and wait for it to be offered to you. And I think that's one thing that's probably key to illustrate to people. If you want a mentor, you've got to go sometimes out and find them and kind of engage them, you know.
I know, that's a scary conversation. Lee's got a great question here, because Lee always has great questions, and I think Lee made a nice haircut comment further back as well. Thank you. I'm feeling very flattered, and also aware I should have done this years ago. But anyway, Rohan, can you give us an example of what a focused and pragmatic mentoring conversation is? That is definitely not what Emma and I have. We go around the houses. We rant for an hour. It's awesome. Do you have a...
I mean, ranting and having a good chat is also building a good relationship, isn't it? So when it comes down to it, you're going to actually have a good conversation. Actionable kind of, it's about actionable items. So you're actually talking about, let's say, someone wants to make the next step into a head of people role. It's kind of going actually identifying actions. Do you actually know how to put a strategy together? Again, I hate the word strategy. I think it's very fluffy. It's one of my bugbearers. But to my point, it's not making the best point here, but it is actually identifying actions to work on. So, and then the point is, once you've identified it with someone, catch up on it. So it's something just to be working on, and you're catching up. Otherwise, it's just a loose conversation. You're just getting to know the person, but you're not getting anything out of it. And it should be mentee-led. So the mentee should be going, actually, I want to be working on this because I realise that this could help here to get to the head of people role. Maybe the mentor says, actually, this is a better route to go down. And then actually, here's things you need to work on. Maybe you need to do a few more ER cases and get involved with them, because maybe actually the other HR manager, if he's taking on or she's taking on more work there, actually you jump in, take on some more disciplinaries or grievances. Is actually identifying a few things and then holding them accountable. I
love that mentee led. That's actually really interesting. I guess it's a bit like coaching. It comes from within. You want to make that change. So if you want to mentor, you need to commit to. Yeah, that's cool. Glenn, you look like you had a question and I interrupted you as ever.
No, not to. I agree with you. I think it's.
Sorry, just before I interrupt you back though. Sorry, Rohan, we're having a random Friday. Is this a year? Is it? Sorry, I just saw Audra's name. Is this a year you have been in the hot seat?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's what LinkedIn said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks. It hasn't felt like
to fill Audra's big feet.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's always
actually really small feet.
Yeah.
Well, you've done all right.
I'm still here. I think that's probably it's an indication of my success. I get to keep my seat.
Actually, I think we've been more consistent as well. You've kept me consistent, which is really cool. And it's a bit going back to the mentor-mentee. It's about that, isn't it? We've kept each other. Yeah, Audra and I used to have weeks off. We were not quite as consistent.
Wow, that's so cool. I do want to come back to that point around the mentee, because without seeming too, I guess, critical, sometimes you get approached to be a mentor, but actually the mentee doesn't really know what they want from you. It's kind of like, can you give me all the guidance? Well, no, actually, I'm not here to guide your career fully for you. So as a mentor yourself, do you sort of say, when somebody contacts you for mentorship, do you go, okay, these are the sort of things I would like you to consider. If you've got the answers to these kind of questions, then it will be good to have that introductory conversation to see whether we can go any further. If you can't answer these questions, I'd suggest you probably go back and reflect. Do you approach it like that? How do you how do you get that structure so you know that the time you're committing to that introductory conversation is actually going to be worthwhile for both parties?
Yeah, I think it is like you say, it's either the person's coming to you, and some people will do this, I'm very sure, saying I want to work on this, but if not, the mentor will go, can you actually identify some stuff which we are actually going to work on? Because then actually, before even actually wasting anyone's time, you can go, actually, I'm not best placed to do that. I've also think something that we're all human, so you might identify some really cool stuff to work on, but actually having kind of this contracting and also chemistry session is very, very important when it comes to mentoring. Because to be honest, someone might go, actually, generally I can help you here, but then you meet and you're just like chalk and cheese. And you know, like that also is not going to work, is it either? So you've got to set the expectation, go, great, I think I can help you with this, or let's identify the areas, but let's have a loose chemistry session. Let's be honest with each other. Things might not work out here, and then let's go from there.
Yeah, you kind of almost litmus testing whether somebody's receptive to being mentored, right?
Yeah,
because you kind of, well, you know, I mean, you don't want to commit time and energy, both parties, and it actually not be beneficial for that individual, not actually move them further forward if they're not taking the actions beyond the meetings you have.
I also got, and this will be controversial. Sorry, whoever I offend saying this, but when it's somebody like myself who works for myself, so as opposed to I'm salaried, so it's probably a little easier to give up an hour. Again, sorry, whoever I've just offended. But sometimes all they're wanting to do is get my stuff for free. So it's not really mentoring. They're like, oh, you know, can you just teach me how to source or whatever it might be? And you're just like, now come on. You know, like that as well. I think as somebody, if you're wanting a mentor, be respectful of that. You know, so I think hence with Emma, it's for her business as a whole as like another female business owner. So I'm not necessarily giving away my IP that makes my salary. I think there can be a fine line on that as well. And I'm just talking about if you're just approaching, I guess a consultant is probably the best way to put me. I'm sorry again if I offended anyone with that.
I think as well, I've seen this where it's got to be the mentee, like we've said, the mentor's helping someone normally out of their own goodwill a lot of the time. So the mentee's got to drive it as well. So they've got to say, are you free here on this time? So I've actually seen in a business before when someone's gone, they haven't checked in with this is the mentee. They haven't checked in with me. But I don't know where they stand, and it's actually you should be driving this. Exactly. Yeah. And that's not good because mentor's helping someone.
That's part of it as well.
Yeah.
So how does HR feel about mentoring in the grander schemes of the things that HR need to think about? In your experience, what's HR's view of kind of mentoring, its value?
I mean, to each other or to others?
Well, well, as a HR function, you're thinking, okay, are people, is mentoring valuable, or is learning, more structured learning development valuable, or do we need, so in your experience, how does HR feel about mentoring? Is it something that's really valued, or have you seen it, kind of depending on the size of the company, etc.? So I'm just keen to sort of match the two areas of your experience, really.
Yeah, I'd say, because from my experience, is more startup and corporate. I'd say in startup, mentoring's not really there. Because it's hands-on. Let's get shit done. Yeah, let's do this type of stuff. More corporate setting. I mean, don't get me wrong. Corporates love to do leadership programs just to do a leadership program, but at the same time, there is kind of some really good companies out there will have coaches, like coaching pools, they'll have mentoring pools. I know I spoke to someone, one of the heads of a Hilton a long time ago, and they had all of this, and my mind was blown that they just deploy these mentors and coaches out there. And they're part of the leadership program, and they had this whole L&D offering. So I think corporates give kind of some good space and time. I think most Fortune 500 companies actually have kind of a mentoring program, which is kind of cool stat in itself. But startups tend not to be given importance. I think people think it's important, but they don't put their kind of money where their mouth is and actually do something.
Yeah. And how did you get involved?
Probably give them the time during the day to do that as well. So it probably ends up being, I'm going to have the chats in the evening on the weekend.
I'm interested in the link between education and kind of industry. How did you get involved in the kind of mentoring was it Birmingham University that you kind of mentor? How was that link made?
Purely because I was on the HR program there,
Okay, cool.
And do you know, I think they reach out to, it doesn't matter if you've done marketing or finance or whatever. I think they've got kind of a good just perspective on, they just want to use the alumni to give back. Because also, like I've said, I've learned just mentoring others. I've learned how to listen, literally listen. I've learned how to kind of give advice that's actually quite concise, quite clear and actually related to that person. They're all tiny things, but communication's pretty darn hard actually. So I've learned from it. But Birmingham Uni, they've just set it up and they keep in contact with people and they do questionnaires, so you get to know kind of the mentee before, and you actually as a mentor complete a questionnaire as well. I know that's quite a standard thing to do. And then they actually just match you, which is, I mean, different mentoring processes differ. Sometimes they match you, sometimes it's kind of a chemistry session, sometimes they match you and then you go from there.
That's really cool. I don't know. I wonder how many universities really utilize their alumni in that way. I know that obviously Birmingham does. I think it's London Business School as well have a really kind of effective alumni, along with Imperial. But I think it clearly illustrating the value, right? People coming out of education, either a master's or degree or even college, right? And actually having a business mentor, somebody that can really give them some structured guidance in terms of that next career step. I think it could be super valuable.
Yeah. I think I said it before, but I think I've been shocked how people come from education. We all know it's theory, but they actually have no idea what kind of finance really is in play. They have no idea what HR, they have no idea what recruitment is and what the process is, what an ATS is, how do you work within an ATS and optimize the usage of it, what metrics do we all use.
That's all right. Is it 5 years? We've worked out only 2 guests have ever actually chosen to go into recruitment anyway. So most people land to know what it is. However, there is a degree, so that's quite worrying.
Yeah, exactly.
We still find that funny, don't we? Not funny, proper terrifying.
Well, again, I think it's, as illustrated, HR has a kind of a certification, accreditation. So it's a path that you can map from education into industry. The unfortunate thing with recruitment is you don't. There's not any kind of really super recognized degree or certification around recruitment. I think that's what, to a certain degree, makes it seem like people just drift into it as a career, because there's no real benchmark for entry, unfortunately. The value of the function, as we've both discussed a number of times, is enormous. Talent acquisition recruitment is an enormously valuable function, with some amazing people in it. So maybe that's something to think about going forward. Right?
Lee, I don't understand your question, so you need to. Sorry, Rowan.
I
can't type an answer on Facebook. So.
I can't multitask at all. I was also thinking, I mean, we all learn through trial and error as well. Okay. But if I had a mentor actually help me when I was recruiting, the tiny thing about on the first call, asking notice, salary, and all that, the tiny things again. But actually, if you don't ask and you don't get the salary expectation, when you come to offer, you can actually screw the whole thing up, because they might be competing with another company at that stage or whatever. So you can't move on it quick. You might be like, oh crap, I need to ask them, and that delays the process. That's a tiny little tip, which like a mentor would give, and it's so niche as well. So kind of what you do.
I can't believe the candidate through the entire process wouldn't have asked that question though. I literally wouldn't have gone past the first phone screen without knowing what the salary was.
As in they would know the salary, but you would know their actual expectation within, let's say, the salary band. So you could have offered, you could have got the offer totally wrong, for instance, and they actually be like, "Whoa, I expected more," type of thing.
Got you.
So,
interesting.
I just read Lee's question as well, and it's completely off topic.
Lee. I know it's Friday, but you're confusing us.
Exactly. I mean, mentoring to business development. Whilst I'm intrigued.
Oh, okay. We're not really talking about that bit, Lee. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. Yeah. Interesting question. Maybe we could wrap.
Well, you can answer him later. He's on Facebook. You better say it's public.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's cool. So, in terms of kind of so you've mentioned mentoring is non-existent in startups. Given your experience of startups, how would you implement a mentoring program into a startup? How would you embed that? What approach would you take, or what advice would you give to?
In an ideal world, by the way.
Ideal world, yeah.
Being tough with that question.
Yeah, two kind of co-founders or a founder to say, you need this. This is why, and this is how I would implement it, or how I would advise you to implement it.
Yeah, I think various ways, and I'm also trying to tap into what people will be doing normally in a startup. So I wouldn't do mentoring by itself. I think normally startups, or scale-ups, they all will do normally a leadership program. As part of that, I'd put in kind of a mentoring kind of module in that, basically where you're kind of teaching what is good mentoring, what is bad mentoring, what it is not, the contracting piece, like expectation setting, the process we're going to go by, how it's tied with values, and everything like that. And then really, really key is how we're going to measure it as well. Because obviously if you're going to do something, at least measure it like percentage of workforce in a mentoring relationship, or the diversity and inclusion kind of, or the diversity of these relationships, to cross-cultural kind of relationships, interracial, interethnic, all those types of things. I actually have some measurements there because also can tie with D&I. So leadership's the easiest one. I would also say your talent management piece is kind of your other one. I mean, again, talent management is quite a sophisticated process, and again, like I said at the beginning, I went into kind of a bigger company to learn about it, but it can help with promotions. I think there's stats out there that say it's something above 60%. If you actually have a mentor, you're more likely to actually get promoted sooner. So tie into that kind of piece. If you see a high potential type of person internally, try to get someone internally, maybe to mentor them, or externally find someone. I mean, it is as simple as sometimes just LinkedIn and adding someone and putting a message in there, which would be open for a little chat, because I have a career here, like we said before, outline what I want to achieve and just go from there. I mean, don't go wrong, half the time people won't even bother responding, but hey.
And unfortunately, I think it is because people open it and go, what's in it for me? And if it's sort of like, I think it needs to be quantified, doesn't it? So Glenn, I'd like you to mentor me. Could you spare an hour a month or something? Because I think sometimes when it's not quantified, you're like, oh, what does that mean? Is that an hour a day, hour a week, hour a month? You know, and I think that makes it quite hard. Caroline just wrote, I'm going back a wee bit, but it's a great comment, and I hadn't really thought about it. I think most candidates are afraid to ask. For far too long, they have been advised to let the employer initiate discussion about salary. Okay, I'd be, obviously it's different out in the colonies because we ask. Because otherwise you don't know if you're going to pay your bills, do you?
Yeah. I think it's an interesting point she makes, because perhaps pre-COVID, the kind of structure of how the employee-employer relationship was still that kind of quite traditional. But we've had some serious kind of developments globally, both in terms of the pandemic and kind of BLM and everything that's going on culturally in society. I think, you know, it does perhaps offer an opportunity for people to take more ownership of their careers, more ownership in terms of where and how they want to work and how they want to get remunerated and what they feel their value is. So if there's an opportunity to open up that conversation with your employer, I think you should absolutely I take your point that you know, previously you just sit there, you wait to get that promotion, to get that bonus, to get that, you know, but you know, perhaps more robust conversations need to happen now. You know, and HR need to be ready for that.
And I think it's a respect thing as well, because I've had a couple of these chats this week. I have heard of people in the current market who are interviewing and the hiring manager's sitting chatting on the phone. They're on a Zoom interview and the hiring manager's ignoring them to take a call and stuff like that. Hang up. You're never going to, if they can't respect you enough to be on that interview, there are enough jobs out there. You will find the right job. That I just can't believe I'm hearing stuff like that. It's dreadful.
To your point, Katrina, set up your own business, right?
Yeah, that's so happening at the moment, which is a little bit of Lee's question over there. I think Lee thinks you're kind of crazy starting a business up in a global pandemic recession. However, I started mine up in 2009. You knock yourself out. Rowan, it's completely possible.
I think it's an absolutely ideal time, because the market is changing, which offers opportunities, and only the brave will really go for it, right? Everybody else will probably be like, you know, let's just stick with what we got and let's see where that takes us. And the others will see the opportunities that are kind of developing and opening up and go, you know what?
Yeah.
I could really focus on that, and I could really deliver some value as an independent. So, you know,
and there are industries that are thriving in this. Absolutely thriving in this. So you just pick your industry.
And equally as well, don't let the UK be the only boundary, right? You could have a global business.
International income. That's why I love my mastermind, because it's not UK business, but it's coming in from all over as well. So seeing we've plugged it a wee bit, go on, give us a quick plug on what the business is going to do.
Yeah, so again, it is
or doing for that matter.
So it's specific to HR, and essentially a mentoring business, mentors from well-known startup scale-ups who are basically trying to help other HR professionals, whether you're a standalone, or you're trying to go from generalist to recruitment type of role, whatever, whether you're trying to grow in whatever country. We've got experienced HR people. We've also got people who aren't the most experienced, but to be honest, I don't give a crap. I'm very, very passionate that if you're an associate, you have so much stuff to give to someone who's at a similar level. That's one of the taboo type of areas that I hate in mentoring. You've got to be really experienced and senior. So basically, we're just trying to help out the HR profession.
Oh, can you expand on that a bit more?
Yeah, so basically you sign up on our mentor. So mentor is
sorry, I mean associates thinking they haven't got anything to give.
Yeah.
Because remember, we sit in TA or recruitment, or actually I don't sit in either, and I don't really know what a HR associate does. So
so I've got people who are kind of at associate level, or I'm just trying to think of their role titles, but that's kind of irrelevant. Basically, they're kind of junior to mid-level type of people, and they could be working for checkout or whatever. And regardless that they're at that big level company, or they're actually junior in their kind of life cycle of their career, they're actually doing the very operational stuff, which is what a lot of those tend to do in startups. So actually, they're probably going to be able to provide more benefit to someone who's at a similar level, because actually you'll be able to talk about the nitty-gritty type of stuff. If you approach someone who's a chief people officer, it's pure strategic stuff. And to be honest, it might sound all fancy, and we all know that sometimes people approach we talked about earlier, other people who are more senior just because it sounds good and you've got that contact. But actually what they're giving you is not super useful. It's probably awareness, but it's not actually that this is actually going to really help me here and there. And I'm very passionate that actually we give kind of peer-to-peer level advice.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really solid advice too. I hadn't thought about it that way.
So the platform's purely for HR professionals at this stage.
Yeah, at this stage, it's not a platform. It's not a tech platform as such. It's purely me trying to match people from my network and help people out there. So I generally like us, we're trying to help the HR profession progress, aren't we? They're kind of talking like this, and I just want to help it as well. So that's my way of kind of doing it, mentoring, mentee to mentors.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you just signed a JV with, I can't remember the name of the company.
Learnably. Yeah. So just had a kind of chat with Mari, who's kind of the lead there, the people lead. And actually we're like, we could do some content together that actually could help people. We could do some webinars together. They're a cool, learning, innovative L&D platform. And do you know what? Let's continue. Let's do it. I'm all hands to help people. So, cool. And they're thinking likewise.
So checking out your LinkedIn page for pending webinars would be a good approach if somebody's just kind of starting to think about that kind of mentoring space, right? Certainly from a HR perspective.
Yeah. Or just hit me up. So just pop me a line.
Next week, he's on holiday.
I'm out though for 2 weeks though. So
Oh, are you? Not next week. Because of the bloody quarantine. Are you back before you have to quarantine or after?
I'm actually heading back. So obviously in Holland now, and I'm heading back literally after this call. So hopefully get back. So it was always the plan. I'm not just rushing back. There's always the plan to head back.
Yeah, cool. That sounds good. That sounds good
indeed. Tuning in from the airport. Oh dear, we're nearly out of time. So I'm just going to really quickly say, and next week we have Madison Butler joining the show, which I'm super excited about. Madison was actually over here for March 10th Disrupt, right before we locked down. And she has been very vocal about Black Lives Matter, and it's 2 months on. So it'd be great to see, well, has anything changed? Have we all forgotten about it? Do we need to be reminded, etc.? So I'm really looking to that conversation now because she's very direct. That'd be a good way of putting it. And extremely passionate about what, Black Lives Matter and more. So she's awesome.
Super passionate. Lovely young lady. Yeah. So if anybody wants a kind of bit of an orientation of Madison, check out her LinkedIn page. She is, she's consistent in terms of her content. And as Katrina said, super passionate. It's bound to be a lively conversation, that's for sure.
I know, it'll be brilliant. She's brilliant as well. It's the first time she's spoken on stage and she was brilliant. I don't know why she chose London of all places to speak on stage the first time, but she was fabulous. And her mum's also super cool. Anyway, sorry, random, Rohan. Random.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Go check it out.
So any closing, as a closing summary, Rohan, for mentees and mentors, if you were to say, give one piece of advice to mentees and one piece of advice for mentors, what would that be at this moment in time?
I would generally say I'd basically say get involved in mentoring because it's actually a free thing, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to even approach a mentee, because I know that might sound weird to a mentor who's more senior, but don't be afraid. And likewise, don't be afraid to pop them a message. It is a message. It's not hurting anyone. It's not costing money or anything like this. Do it here and there. Yes, you've got the potential of rejection, but just get involved. That generally will help you a lot. It's better than a formal learning course or anything like that. So, and actually, it can provide dividends. You might know someone for years and years. They might open your network up. So it can just go. It can just snowball. Get involved.
Wicked. Yeah, cool. Sounds great.
I think I love the thing you said earlier though. Go in with what it is, especially you're wanting to get. So mentee led, and like I had to give them the time frame, so they understand what the time commitment is you're hoping for. Because I think that's a big one. I think that stops people responding. They just go because we are all time pressured. So.
Yeah, and make it informal as well. It doesn't need to be all formal.
Yeah, it's true.
Emma and I definitely don't do formal. Most informal. But it has been extremely rewarding, so I'm glad I've done it. Rohan, thank you. That was absolutely fabulous.
Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you to everyone for all of your comments. Lee, Rohan will come back to you later. Oh my goodness, what a question. We shall be back Friday next week at what time will we be back, Klein?
3 p.m. UK time, Katrina. Yeah.
Sorry, really old joke, not funny anymore. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, and 4 p.m. Central Time. LinkedIn Live, Facebook, etc. We're still back on. We are back on Friday. We are switching to Thursday in September just to confuse you all. I know they won't know what to do after all these years. We're like, what? But we are. Anyway, thank you again. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody, and we shall see you next week. Bye.
Definitely. Take care now.